Okay, should we start with the captain, Martin Odegaard? Now, let me just be clear, right? I'm not trying to scapegoat individuals on this episode because I think there are a lot of players actually that you could name as underperformers yesterday. There's a lot of players that didn't do it. There's a lot of players that were out of sorts, and in some cases, like Martin Odegaard, they've been out of sorts for quite some time, and we have struggled to find a way of fixing that, of dealing with it. So let me just run through some of his statistics. Okay, he played all 90 minutes. His XG was 0.08, expected assist 0.22. 89 touches of the ball for Martin Odegaard. 86% pass accuracy rate. It's not the end of the world. I know people will look at that and go, midfielder below 90% passing accuracy. Well, that's not good. I always look at it quite differently. I think if you're playing as one of the more advanced players and your job and your role is to try and find a way through, then actually, if you take a few risks and that sees your passing accuracy rate decrease, I'm okay with that. So I'm not too bothered about that. He played 4 key passes. He put 6 crosses into the box, none of which found their intended target. He played 2 long balls, though, and both of those managed to find their sort of target. Shots on target 0, shots off target 1, 2 blocked shots, 1 dribble attempt, wasn't successful. Only won 2 of his 6 ground duels, wasn't involved in any aerial duels, lost possession 20 times, was fouled twice. And so when you look at all the statistics around Martin Odegaard's performance, they don't make for good reading. They don't. Do I think that some of them are as bad as maybe people would assume, having sort of judged his performance purely on the eye test? No. I think there are elements of his game where he was a little bit more effective statistically than it looked to us that were watching with our eyes rather than through the numbers. But it's been a while now, and it feels like Martin Odegaard has just really dipped in form. And I don't know what exactly I want to put that down to. I think there's a few things, right? So first of all, does he look fit? He doesn't look as fit, and he doesn't look as sharp as he has done previously. It feels like he's still carrying the weight of the injury that he picked up earlier in the season. It feels like he's never really recovered fully from it. And is that a consequence of our schedule and the fact that we just don't have another option to replace him? And so the over-reliance that we've placed on him has created a bit of a burden, and he's struggling under that pressure. I think that's one of the things. I think not having Bukayo Saka to play off of on the right-hand side has been a problem, and not having Ben White to play in tandem with, I think, has also been a problem. I described those 3 earlier in the season as the kind of holy trinity on Arsenal's right-hand side, because the understanding, the connection is so good. And when you start taking pieces out of that trio and start putting replacements in, whether they're competent players or not, and Jurriën Timber and Ethan Nwaneri certainly are, it's not the same. It's going to take time to develop those relationships. And I don't think those relationships work in the way that Odegaard connects with White and with Saka. But also, like, it's the indecision with Martin Odegaard right now that I'm really struggling with. Like, it just feels like when he's in and around the penalty area, he takes the extra touch too often. He overthinks situations. He turns into space and then sometimes turns back away from goal. And I don't always feel that that's necessary. I think Martin Odegaard needs to just take the handbrake off a little bit and play a little bit more off the cuff. We always seem to try and work the ball into certain areas. I've noticed the corner of the penalty area is a destination that we quite like to arrive at. And I think we quite like the idea of putting in crosses from that type of angle, because when everybody's fit and available, it's a space that our left winger and left 8 can attack. It's not really working at the moment, yet the habit that we've kind of developed is one that dies very, very hard, because we can't seem to shake off trying that over and over again. The overlaps are not very effective. We don't get to the byline anywhere near as often as we used to. And obviously we used to play those cutbacks, and Odegaard would often be one of the players arriving there. It's not working for him at the moment. And I don't want to be that guy that sticks the boot in on our captain, because I think over the last few years he's been immense, and he's going through a difficult period right now to a certain degree, and to a certain point we got to stick with him. But it's a few things, right? He's out of sorts. I don't think he looks as fit. I don't think he's as confident, and that comes with poor performances. You know, your confidence dips. Confidence is very fragile in football. One week it can be up here and the next week it can be down there. We all know that. We've all seen that time and time again. The fact that we got no cover for him is a big problem because we can't take him out of the firing line. You would argue that the one player within our group that has the profile to be a potential Martin Odegaard cover and offer a similar type of creativity is Ethan Nwaneri. But guess what? We got to play him on the right at the moment because we're without a number of options. There's too much reliance on his creativity. And okay, he's not delivering at the moment. And there should be some scrutiny on him and there should be some criticism of his performances. I don't deny that for a second. But is this, again, when I talked about it a few weeks ago, we kept talking about collective failure. Is this to do with the squad building? Because we don't have another midfield player within our ranks. And I don't even include Ethan Nwaneri in this because he's a 17-year-old kid who we should no way be relying on. We don't have another midfield player with a creative bone in their body. Jorginho can start moves from deep, same as Thomas Partey, but Declan Rice ain't that. Mikel Merino ain't that. You know, we really do lack a creative spark within our squad in that midfield area, especially if you take Martin Odegaard out of the equation. And Martin Odegaard is not going to deliver every single week to the incredible high standards that he has set. This season especially, he is struggling. And okay, point the finger at him, absolutely, for sure. But at the same time, what have we done? What do we have to substitute Odegaard's creativity with? Nothing. And so if Odegaard's not on it, we're not on it. And he's not been on it for a long, long time. And that is starting to translate now in terms of the overall performances. He wasn't very good at Leicester for large periods in the game. Did he spark into life a little bit later on? Yeah, he did. But it needs to be more. We need to see more over a longer period of time. We go into the West Ham game. Again, I was left incredibly frustrated by him because at times it feels like he's going around in circles, being indecisive, passing on the responsibility to others in terms of teeing them up when, in my opinion, as the captain and with someone of that technical ability, he should be taking more on himself, going on more dribbles himself, getting shots off that little bit earlier. Yeah, I'm struggling with Odegaard at the minute, but while I want to sort of, talk about him on an individual level, I do think you have to think about the collective, and the collective lacks creativity. And people laughed at me in January and last summer when I said, you know what, we're obsessed with the idea of bringing in a striker. And of course we need one. There's no getting away from that. But guess what? We don't have enough creativity in this squad as well. And so a creative midfield player might not be the worst idea in the world, but we didn't do that either.